Okay.
That could be her, Diane. Is that her name?
Christine
No, it's Christine.
McEmber.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that's Christine. Christine?
No, she's not there yet. All right, so we're back in session to hear from Christine
McEmber.
McEmber on the help me out.
Hazard mitigation.
Hazard mitigation. That's all we have left for business, right?
I think so.
Don't find no nothing else.
Don't go looking.
Yeah.
Somebody
You're
always
gonna poke a big bear.
Stuff they start going through them. I said, don't bring up any communications.
We
We're-
said something about it. That's all we want to talk about.
Christine?
She's not on there yet.
Nobody there.
Christine.
Do we have a phone call or a phone that we can call her? Or, I mean, a phone number we could use to call her? Tell her we're going?
Our clocks are a little slow. Too.
Yeah, a little bit.
I've got 3:52, but
Oh, well, you're good. They're not too slow. They're not too slow.
Steph's not back yet either. She obviously comes back.
Too many.
That was so funny last Thursday. I was sitting here. Scott and Keith were sitting there. You were sitting over here. And about 11 o'clock, I was like, I'm getting tired.
That wasn't funny. It scared the heck out of me. I mean, she went down. She literally going,
Well, I actually
All I could do to keep my head up.
woke up at 3:30 in the morning that morning. It was feeling bad, but then I kind of, it was kind of okay. And I came here, and it was like okay. But then Jim and I met at the mountain for lunch. I didn't even eat a quarter of my lunch. I said, I gotta go. I said,
Yeah.
I just gotta go. Went home, went right to sleep. My teeth even ached, but I wasn't sick, but I was just, everything ached,
I didn't ache much. A little bit maybe, but oh my God. I just let me lay here.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have curled up on the floor.
Yeah.
Been happy.
we just thought about calling 911 and get the ambulance over here to start
I don't
checking
think
you over. Oh,
I don't think
I would have. If I had a choice.
Decline.
You guys, did you get your shot yet?
Yeah, I've had my second one. It didn't affect me.
Didn't. Yeah.
Not a
You
bit.
haven't got yours yet?
I got my second one in March.
Oh, in March.
I just.
When did you get your first in February?
No, must
Yeah.
Last February.
No.
This February.
Just
Oh, I thought you said you had gotten.
No, I
yours
get
is
my second shot.
Okay,
My
in March,
first of
okay.
first week of March. or
Okay.
something.
I thought you were indicating you'd already had your second in
Yeah.
March. I think, hell, you had to.
No.
How'd that happen?
I mean, we canceled this a meeting because all the deputies got shots, and half of them couldn't. Didn't want to.
Yeah, the week before, we were supposed to have had negotiations on Tuesday. Well, that was the funny part about it because, I think I shared this with you. Like 3 weeks before or something like that, Scott was telling me about the fact that his wife had gotten her second shot and she couldn't make it out of bed.
Yeah.
And she'd gotten it on a Friday on purpose. And because she'd heard all this, and he said she was in bed all day Saturday. And I guess he gave her a hard time. And he was telling me, he said, oh, what a wimp, And we were talking about it in the office, and he looked at me and said, I'm going to regret that, aren't I? I said, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. And sure enough, he did. He was sicker than she was.
He was one of them that couldn't make it.
Sheer determination I was going to make it. Stubbornness.
You did it a long time. I mean, we were all
there
a
she is.
little concerned. I mean, okay, great.
Where she is down there at the bottom. There she is
Clicking in right now.
Yeah.
Christine,
Hi.
hi,
Hello.
welcome.
Thanks.
Well, we're kind of at the end of our meeting here, so we're ready to hear whatever you got for a presentation.
Okay. So we've been working on the Alcona County Hazard Mitigation Plan for about the last 2 years. The grant is set to expire at the end of March, but NEMCOG has filled out paperwork to extend that grant for another year. And then we're just waiting on the official confirmation. So today we're having a public meeting on the plan of anybody who has any comments about it or questions on what's happening inside of it. So last week I received comments about it. There was a hunt club that was underneath one of the campground sections that shouldn't have been there, because the campground section specifically for if you have a bunch of people camping in one area and say a tornado comes through, you're going to have a high impact with risk and injuries and damage. There was also comments about the EMS information needed to be updated, the warning system within the county. Right now, the plan says that there are no sirens within the county, but I was told that that's incorrect, so that needs to be updated. And then I had a few local governments give me more information about their specific local governments and what they have in regards to what was in the plan. So some of those things were changed. So my question is if anybody has any other comments or recommendations of things that need to be changed.
So talking to Carolyn, and you take over as soon as you want to, Carolyn. We do need to put together a meeting with all of our local emergency.
They may have
Officials.
sent out. Christina, years ago when we did this, we had a roundtable meeting, I would say, for lack of a better, fire department, road commission, schools, EMS, emergency services, county board of commissioners, equalization, just that whole bevy of people who might be affected by a hazard that would occur. And if I'm recalling correctly, and maybe I'm not, we sort of determined high priorities and medium and lows, and then who should do what kind of thing. If that is that kind of, it sounds to me like you all are taking care of that part now.
We kind of addressed that in the LPT, but I would say that would be a behind the scenes thing.
Okay.
Because it's supposed to be a living document. It's supposed to be changing constantly based on what's happening. So a lot of the things in the plan, it's almost, so you have your structural and then your retrofitting for your property. So say you have a house in a floodplain and you actually need to elevate that house, or you have a bridge that gets washed out and you want to replace that bridge, but you don't want to build the same exact bridge. You want to build a bridge that's better. And so it's kind of expanding on those physical aspects, because I know your guys' plan has a lot of information with emergency response, public education and outreach, and policies and programs. So I know there's a little bit in there about responsible parties of who's going to do what. And then the new section that was added, instead of saying these people are going to be funding this project, it was looking at, okay, who has the technical knowledge to assist us? And then do these people also have funding? So it's putting funding and technical knowledge in that same category, because I found out that there were a lot of local governments in different counties that actually had knowledge about funding or what was happening within their area that, say, the LPT or LEPC didn't know about. So it was almost creating that roundtable, as you're saying. So I think that would be something in the future to look into.
I went back and pulled my old one and provided a copy of that to each of the commissioners. So they
Okay.
had a small, it wasn't extremely informative, but I think it initiated the concept. I'll say that.
So you've already been in contact with the smaller government entities for Alcona County, all the townships?
No, there was one township and then the city of Harrisville.
Okay.
May we ask which township that was, Mikado?
Yeah, it was Mikado.
So is there anything we need?
I got half of that one.
Let me suggest that you contact them again. They have 4 new board members out of 5.
Okay.
So I think you might get a very different response
For
if you
Mikado.
contact. Yeah, on Mikado. I think you would get a 180-degree different response.
Okay.
What questions do you have, Stephanie?
Did you guys ask, since I walked in a little bit late, in regard to what the municipalities were? Is it the township supervisor? Is it?
That's in the letter that you have.
Yes. Christina Hyatt, Stephanie Eller, Alcona County Clerk. I printed off the email that you and I were going back and forth with in correspondence. I just had a question in regard to where it says kind of from beginning to end the procedures to follow through with the plan. And it says that I can't find it right now, but to reach out to the municipalities. And I wasn't sure who that is exactly.
Okay, so that's kind of a little further down the line. So the next steps right now is after this meeting, I'm going to take everything, compile it into the plan, update the plan, and then I'm going to fill out a document that the plan and that document gets submitted to the state for the state review. From there, it goes to FEMA to have FEMA review it, and they send back a letter that says the plan will be approved pending adoption. So once we get that letter, we are coming back to be on your guys' agenda to have that plan approved. From that section, that's when the village councils, the township supervisors. So let's see, the supervisors, the presidents, that's county, city commissioners. I'm drawing a blank. So those are the people I would be contacting to say, hey, we do have this plan. To be covered by this plan, you have to participate in one of these mitigation strategies. And in other counties, I found that a lot of the local governments were actually participating in these strategies and they didn't know that it was connected to the plan. And so then they have to also pass that adoption resolution. So be part of the strategy and then pass the adoption resolution to be covered by this plan. That's essentially creating a community that's resilient towards hazards. So this isn't a post-disaster plan. We're planning before the disaster happens, so the disaster won't be as bad later on.
Okay, I think that answered my question. Thank you.
Christina, you indicated, and I agree, and I kind of forgotten, but that it's a living document. Having said that, does NEMCOG have a recommendation on reviewing it annually, or,
From
and
what
what
I've
if we,
seen- Go ahead.
what if we found something that we said, that just doesn't work anymore, that doesn't fit anymore, or we need to add this? What about something like that? How should we address that? Should we be concerned with addressing that? And if so, what would be your recommendation?
I would. So I started in NEMCOG in April of 2019. And so these plans were the first project I worked on. And when I was talking to all the counties, I found that when these plans were finished in 2014, they just kind of sat on a shelf. So nobody really
Exactly.
knew what was happening with them. So I would say go through it every year. If something doesn't make sense, get rid of it. If you want to add something, add it in. That was one of the things I ran into with the state review on one of the other counties' plan is they wanted specific progress of, okay, you have this strategy. So where are you in the process? Are you almost done? What do you need to do to complete it? And they're trying to looking for that closeout of the strategies and not just keeping the same thing over and over and over again, but looking for it to start evolving. And like there is the understanding that some of those are ongoing and they will stay in there constantly.
Well, it would seem to me that it would be appropriate to assign this to LPT and say, we want an annual report from you.
Yes.
We want you to look at this annually and tell us your modifications that you feel are recommended. And then do we go back to NIMCOG then and say, look, our LPT has said these things need to be adjusted, or it would be a good idea. Do we bring that back to you? And if so, then what happens? Does it go back to the state? Does it?
I'm going to have to ask the state on that because they told me that it was a living document where you could change it. So let me get back to you about that because I'm wondering if there's a specific amendment process.
Right.
Based on that. Okay.
But I do think that as a board that we should assign this after it's completed to LPT and tell them we want an annual review and a report from that review. Otherwise, it's back sitting on the shelf.
Right.
I really think we need to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Because that's when I wrote this, I kind of wrote it as a basis document of, okay, here's our basis. So we can grow from here. We can change from here.
Right. Agreed.
Okay. Process. Document.
Do we get to review the plan, Christina, before you send it out for their approval?
For whose approval?
I thought you said you had to send it to the state, then you send it, then it goes on to the, I thought you were saying.
Yeah, you can review it right now. I haven't submitted it to the state yet. So as soon as you tell me it's great, we can submit it to the state, I will.
Okay, I thought you said you still had to put it together after this meeting.
Oh,
No?
yeah, I do have to contact Central Dispatch to find out where the warning systems are. And let's see, and then I have to get with Scott to go over the EMS information and make sure that's accurate.
I think we need to assign the different sections of this to the 5 of us. And then make those correct, decide for ourselves what the corrections might need to be, or modifications really. No, they're really not corrections because at the time this was done, it was believed that they were appropriate. So it's not a matter, it's an updating type of thing. But, and then we could have those back to you. We could collectively look at those March 3rd, and then have them back to you shortly after that.
Okay.
Or we could ask LPT to hold a special meeting and do it.
LPT.
Local planning team.
Oh,
LEPC, LPT.
oh, okay.
Local emergency.
They would have more of a knowledge of
Yeah.
ratings and what needs to be covered than we would.
Yeah, I have no problem if we ask them to do it.
No, I agree.
Because that's kind of where it needs to sit.
If it's gonna sit back on their lap when it's over and done with for review, we might as well sort of start the.
Might as well start there.
But they have to get it done by, like you said, 1st of March, sometime in March.
If we were to do that, what's a comfortable date for us to have this back to you to not mess up your timing?
Well, we are operating on that. We essentially have a year from the end of March. But right now we don't have the official documentation saying that we have that year. So right now I'm operating that it's March 22nd.
Well,
Is when
she's gotta have it
everything-
done.
Yeah,
Okay.
They don't get the extension, yeah.
right.
If we got this back to you, I'm going to arbitrarily say March 1st, on Monday, March 1st, does that give you time? Now, it is conceivable that that group will look at this and say, yep, we like it just as you got it.
Yeah, right.
And I guess one of my questions would be, in the one that I have, there are some things that have been added. There are also some things that have been taken off. For instance, when we get into the winter weather hazards, what was number 3 has been removed. The one that talks about compiling a list of homes and facilities with vulnerable residents. Now, one of the reasons that possibly is removed is because that same one is number 3 under multi-hazard mitigations. We don't need it in there twice.
No. So what happened with that is the previous plan had broken all of the strategies down based by hazard. When FEMA reviewed one of the other counties' plans back in October, they said that wasn't sufficient and they wanted it based on the purpose of the strategy. So all of those strategies have now been revised and reformatted. So they are no longer in tables, they're in paragraph form. And I want to say there was one that looks at policies, programs, procedures, public outreach and education, natural resources, structures, and then there was another one with emergency response and then property. So existing buildings and actually making them more resilient to hazards. So there's like now 6 different categories. And then underneath each of the strategies, I went through and I wrote each of the hazards that they addressed.
Who completed the 2019 status report on it?
That would be me because that looks like the thing I completed way back when.
Okay.
And then when I took it to the LPT, I updated it based on what we talked about in that meeting.
Right.
So that looks like the October 2019, I think, that meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. 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 Because I had that originally in the plan and I was told by the state that they didn't want it in table form. And then I was told by FEMA that it couldn't be by hazard. It had to be by purpose.
Okay, this is my suggestion. That we contact LPT, tell them we need to have them do the best they can. We need it back by 26th, February 26th. That's only 10 days. And I know that's not long, but do the best you can. And then get that to you on March 1st, whatever things they are suggesting or feeling need to be modified. And then we can still make the assumption that we've got to have it in by, you said March 23rd or 21st?
22nd.
22nd, okay.
Yes. So
You
if
decide.
I have it submitted to the state by March 3rd or 5th, depending on what pops up during my week, I'd say the 5th, the latest, then that would give the state about a couple weeks to go through and review the plan. It's going to go over the deadline
Sure.
of March 22nd. Just
Sure.
because in the FEMA document, it says they have 45 days to review the plan.
Right,
So,
right.
but they've already seen kind of the format I've been using for the other plans. So the other plan was approved yesterday. So I'm excited about that. So I don't see any issues in the future, but it's just making sure that everything is updated in Alcona and
Sure, absolutely. Like our master plan, recreation plan.
Yep, sounds good.
That would be my suggestion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Good with me.
Anything else?
Is there anything she needs from us?
Have we fulfilled the obligations for the public hearing today?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
Excellent.
because nobody commented and we're moving forward. So yes,
Okay,
Good deal.
okay.
thank you, Christina.
thanks.
All right, so, motion adjourned? We don't have to make any motion on this, right?
No, we just have to see that the LPT gets it and that they move to the best of their ability on it.
Then let's be adjourned.
Who's not on the LPT?
Okay.
Now, who is LPT? I don't know.
I don't either.
You know how we have LAPC and then you see a // actually, and then there's LPT.
Okay.
I think it got listed in our thing as LAPT, and it is not, it's LPT. LEPT is Local Emergency Planning Team.
Okay.
Um,
Consists of who?
They
Scott?
meet quarterly.
Okay.
LPT is the Local Planning Team.
Okay.
They're
Who's on it?
different.
Yeah.
Who's on it?
Who's on it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is fun, sorry.